Anthony Gordon here, Fiduciary Financial. Today we're going to talk about luck and how it affects your retirement. Now, this conversation usually arises when you're trying to figure out the rate of return required for your retirement. Now, what you probably start to realize is that depending on what the market does for the period when you retire, it's going to have a significant impact on your investment. Specifically, if the market does great, you have enough saved, then you're going to have enough for retirement. If the market doesn't do so well, then that's going to affect the chances of you having enough to last you for your entire retirement. Now, this is called the sequence of return risk. The other question you may have is, okay, how do I eliminate this risk? Well, there is no one way to eliminate the risk, but there are definitely things you could do to mitigate the risk. First one's called dynamic spending, right? Dynamic spending just means taking a flexible approach to spending. For the years where the market does really well, you may be able to spend a little bit more than you had planned. For the years when the market doesn't do so well, you definitely want to curb your spending and where you can take a much more conservative approach to your withdrawal rates, right? So that's the first way you can mitigate. Second way you can mitigate is applying the 4% rule, which essentially says you should have enough saved that you could withdraw 4% annually over 30 years. Now, Morningstar just published an article recently that said the 4% rule is no longer affected, so we should start to look at 3.3%. Essentially, what you want to do is choose an amount that's quite conservative, such that despite what the market does, you'll be fine. So that's the second rule, right? The third way that you could protect against sequence of return risk is diversifying your investment. Pretty sure you've all heard the term, don't put your eggs all in one basket, because depending on what the market does, if one sector or one area gets affected significantly and most of your money is in that area, then you tend to you're probably in a space where you will lose significant amounts and it's going to affect your retirement significantly. So you want to diversify so that if one area, one sector doesn't do so well, then you're protected in another. The fourth way to mitigate is having cash reserves. Now, if you have cash reserves for a few years, if the market doesn't do so well for that particular year, instead of pulling from your portfolio when it's down, you could wait until some type of rally and the portfolio increases, at least get back to a suitable level, and then you could pull at that point. So that's called a cash reserve. Now, the fifth and last one that I'm going to talk about today is the home equity. One way is you could probably borrow against your home. Now, obviously, it's usually the last resort, but depending on the interest rates and depending on the loss in your portfolio, it may make sense in certain circumstances to borrow against your home, especially if you're getting a favorable rate of return, and then wait till that portfolio gets back to a suitable level and then take from the portfolio and, pay off that loan. Now, these are just 5 methods. There are a few others. If you're watching this on YouTube, below you'll see a link and you could go to my blog. I have a couple of other steps and a couple of other ways that you could mitigate this risk. Ultimately, the more you plan is the luckier you become. So the big takeaway is, no, we cannot eliminate this risk, but there are definitely steps that we could take to make sure that our retirement is protected. Anthony Gordon, Fiduciary Financial. Thank you for watching.